back to Luke 22 and 30, he says that what? Let's start at 28. Ye are me in my temptations. I appoint unto you a kingdom as my Father hath appointed unto me, that ye may eat and drink at my table in my kingdom and sit on thrones, judging the 12 tribes of Israel. When you look at this word for table, all right, we're going to sit directly at the table with Yahweh Shai, judging the matters of the whole entire planet Earth. Okay, the word table is trapeza. Trapeza, a table on which food is placed, an eating place. Now we know that we're going to eat and drink with him, but more importantly, this table symbolizes the table in which the priest sat, handling the affairs of the nation of Israel, taking in all of the increase, the goods, the first fruits that will come to the temple would all be given unto the priest. So it says the table in the temple at Jerusalem on which the consecrated loaves were placed, right? And it says the table or stand of a money changer, different kinds of money for a fee with loans or deposits. Now, when we go to the book of Deuteronomy, the 28th chapter and the 12th verse, now remember, these are the blessings. We got to remember to tap into these blessings. Yeah, we know the curses are from Deuteronomy 28:15 on down, but when you read the blessings, you get insight into what we are getting ready to inherit. Now, one of the things that Yahweh Shai said that we just read is that we're going to sit at his table with him, judging the affairs of the 12 tribes of Israel, setting everything in order, being at the forefront, all right, of establishing forever in paradise. Deuteronomy 28:12, Yahweh shall open unto thee his good treasure, the heaven to give the rain unto thy land in his season, and everything is going to flourish, everything is going to be on point, won't be right. It's going to come into perfection. Everything will flourish. No GMOs, right? And to bless all the work of thine hand, and thou shalt lend unto many nations, and thou shalt not borrow. Read that in the NLT. It says you will lend to many nations, but you will never need to borrow from them. So when you understand the kingdom of heaven and being a priest after the order of Melchizedek, which is Yahweh Shai, we are going to be the bankers of the nation of Israel. We're going to be the bankers of the whole world. But see, we're going to deal in righteousness. And we will be able to lend to heathen. We will be able to deny loans. We'll be at the forefront of how everything flows throughout the whole four corners of the earth. The Lord shall make thee the head and not the tail, and thou shalt be above only, and thou shalt not be beneath. See, and this is what's promised unto us under Yahweh Shai's kingdom. Joint heirs of what? Being at the forefront of creation. Being at the forefront of setting everything back in its proper perspective, putting everything where it needs to be. All right, from trees to everything that you can imagine. And we're going to do this in new bodies.
All right, Shalom. First and foremost, I'd like to give all praise and glory unto Yahweh by Hashem, Yahweh Shai by Hashem, Rakakwadash. and double honors unto the apostles and the elders of GMS who rule well, teach well, being great examples for his younger brothers, and peace and blessings and salutation to the hopeful elect out there pushing this word and truth. And it's a series across the four winds in the name of Yahweh Bashem Shai, pushing to get up out of here. Shalom to the hopeful elect, the believers, the listeners whom have came back to the obedience of the scriptures through faith in Yahweh Bashem Shai. And what I want to get into, with this lesson, dealing with the least of the flock, all right, dealing with the small hats, and how, this guy BB, which he's nothing but a plant, okay, a political plant by the elites, to forward a new world order agenda, okay, because what we have to understand is that Yahweh Bashem Al Shai, he plays on the mind of the elites to put particular people in positions as the elites think that their agenda is going to be accomplished, but ultimately it's going to be the Lord's agenda that's going to be accomplished, okay? Because we know, that these devils, have started, as the small hats have drug America into this war, as the scripture said they would, okay? Well, they walk right into the trap of Yahweh Bashem Al Shai, and they have activated a lot of prophecy, man. And you can tell these devils, okay, on the back foot when it comes to particular things because they stepped into prophecy, man. And there's certain things that's happening that's aligning with prophecy, and you best believe these devils are weird in their counsel, man. But it's Yahweh Bashem Al Shai that plays on the hearts of men to bring about his will. Everything is serving the will of Yahweh Bashem Al Shai. Okay, and within the will, the elites have been able to bring certain agendas to pass. They have a lot of influence, in the events of the world, the governments, the finance, the economy, military conflicts, technology, the media, the narrative, and these devils have had their hands in a lot of things. But ultimately, everything that these elites are doing, all right, everything that these elites are doing under the umbrella of Yahweh Bashem Al Shai is going to eventually work against them, man, and bring about the purpose that the Lord intended from the beginning. Now, I want to start off here in the book of Proverbs 21. All right, it's in the title, especially since it's in the title of the lesson. Let's go to it first. Let's go to Proverbs 21:1. It said, the king's heart is in the hand of the Lord, Yahweh Bashem Al Shai. As the rivers of water, he turneth it whithersoever he will. So from the elites, to the puppet leaders that the elites set up, throughout the world, especially within, the West. Okay. Well, the Lord controls their minds, their reasoning, and the way that they move. Okay. For the sake of prophecy, man. All right. So Yahweh Bashem Al Shai is in full control of everything that we see happening and playing out. There's nothing happening that's outside the will of the Lord. Okay, so all these schemes and plots, a lot of these things that these devils, scheme and plot up, okay, it's not going to come to pass. And the things that the Lord allows to come to pass are the things meant to forward the agenda prophecy, man. Okay, and the Most High got certain leaders in certain nations, and, certain people that's in, all right, positions of decision making. All right, he has certain spirits set up to fulfill his will. Okay, dealing with Nero, like Nero, he's not in office for nothing. This is the guy that started the persecution of the Christians, which when you go through the time of Nero, the Christians was Israelites that follow Yahweh Shai, not this madness of the day. Okay, not Joel Austin and Kirk Franklin. No. These were Israelites that follow Yahweh Shai. Okay, these was followers of Yahweh Shai. You see, during his time that you had the persecution of the Christians, the believers, the followers of Yahweh Shai within the Roman Empire, man, and that's getting ready to happen again. So this devil, he's in office to fulfill a particular lot. Okay, because he's for damn sure not here to win no wars. Okay, Nero was trash. All right, he didn't even deal with wars. Okay, nigga was a poet, you know, a actor, you know, just like this nigga Trump, man. Okay, so the Lord got particular. Then you go into those men of the East, man. You see they got a different mannerism. You know, it's a different mannerism. You know, and it look like the least. You know, they manipulate and they have their hands in all governments, man. But it's the Lord who position particular spirits in particular positions to fulfill His will, man. Okay, and the least don't have the last say so in how things operate. Okay, and certain things the Most High shut down. Okay, and certain things that He let go through. You see, and it's all according to His will, what He wants for His agenda, man. Okay, so let's go from there. Let's get this in another one in Proverbs 19. I have to bring this one out. All right, this is the book of Proverbs, chapter 19, and verse 21. It said, there are many devices in the man's heart. Nevertheless, the counsel of the Lord that shall stand. Okay, so what we're seeing is the counsel of the Lord is always going to stand, regardless of, you know, the schemes of Esau, the elites. Okay, I say the only thing that this devil is able to pull off is what the Lord allows him to pull off, the forward prophecy, man. So we're going to see the counsel of the Lord stand. You know, just like the least of the flock. You know, will draw out, will drag, you know, America to this war, and that's what they've done. They've done it. You know, and they're going to keep this thing out, man. And this nigga BB, you know, because I got a quick documentary show you a plant, all right, by the elites to carry out a particular agenda, you know, because the elites, in their mind, they're Greater Israel Project, because the New World Order, these elites ruling. Okay, this the New World Order is these devils trying to bless themselves, man. Okay, that's what this New World Order is about. These devils trying to give themselves the birthright back, you know, through technology, through witchcraft, and through the sword. Okay, this is what this is what these elites are trying to do. Okay, so they have this political plant, you know, BB. Okay, as the Prime Minister of Israel, for the sake, all right, of carrying out a New World Order agenda. You know, Gaza, you know, they have these smart city plans in Gaza. Okay, so you get these guys like Trump, you know, BB. Okay, these guys are political plants by the elites to carry out, you know, their global agenda. See, in fact, let's get this real quick. All right, because the elites, they to the point to where they think they're, you know, got like the Most High. Okay, so when you go to Isaiah 14 and 13, it says, for thou hast said in thine heart, I will ascend into heaven. I will exalt my throne above the stars of the Most High. I will sit also upon the mount of the congregation in the sides of the north, man. Okay? So this devil, you know, the elites, you know, they've been able to conquer the world, you know, globally, you know, militarily. They've been able to conquer a lot of governments, a lot of people. Okay? And these devils have had, you know, so much control. They had the Israelites in captivity, which are the stars of the Most High. Okay, mainly here in America, you know, the sides of the north, you know, and they just mounted themselves up in this position of power in the earth, man. You know, to the point to where he thinks that he's going to be likened unto the Most High now. You know, that he's just going to hijack creation. He's going to bless himself, you know, with this Greater Israel Project, with, you know, putting this technology in everyone to where he's able to monitor, you know, the thoughts, to, you know, the biometrics, to, you know, he just wants to be able to measure every aspect of your life with these biometrics, and you know, and that's him trying to be like the Most High, man. Okay, so these certain leaders that we see in place, you know, are put there to forward the agenda, okay, of the elites, man. You know, certain areas, like Argentina, heavy small hat influence, man. Okay, Ukraine, heavy small hat influence, man. So these small hats have certain, areas of the earth that they're highly concentrated, you know, and they're forwarding certain agendas. You see, verse 14 says, "I will ascend above the heights of the clouds. I will be like the Most High," and that's the devil's mindset. Okay, is that he's going to be likened unto the Most High. Okay, see, the elites have global ambition. They're not worried about nations. People get caught up in these nations and these certain countries. Well, they have global agendas. Okay, that's why you see certain leaders of certain nations push what global agendas. Okay, that's why the local public, the local population of these certain countries. Okay, they're not the concern. No, the concern is the global agenda of the elites. Okay, for these what you call developed nations. These first world nations, man. They're here to serve the bidding, all right, of these elite bankers, man. You see, but as we've seen them late, in their quest, for this global, agenda, this new world order, they've stepped into prophecy, man, which is going to cause these devils to have to hurry up. Okay, which is going to cause these devils to have to really, push the gas on this new world order attempt, man. So let's go from there. I just want to play this. So I got this quick snippet dealing with this guy BB. But these are the main few leaders we see, amongst what's going on. BB, Trump, okay, Iran, their supreme leader, he's more tucked away, okay, Mashtaba, but you see Putin, with Russia, Xi Jinping, China, okay, even now as of late, in North Korea, all right, Kim Jong-un, all right, and then you have now Turkey leaders being mentioned, Erdogan, but all these leaders, okay, have a role to play, man, and they're going to fulfill the will of Yahweh Bashim al-Shah as these leaders are under the umbrella of the elites, some more than others. Well, all of them are under the umbrella of Yahweh Bashim al-Shah. Okay, so when you go here, let's play a little bit of this. Okay, and then you see the small hats in America are joined at the hip. Okay, politically, because they're linked prophetically. They're linked prophetically, man. Was these small hats gonna get their work in Third World War? Okay, in America. Okay, these are the two biggest losers of the Third World War. Okay, this Israeli Zionist regime and population, and the American, all right, population, man. Okay, they're gonna get the brunt of this Third World War, and that's why they're joined at the hip. You have this, this legislation went into effect and pretty much combined, their militaries and governments of the small hats and, okay, America, man, which their lead bankers own, okay, the state of Israel, okay, this false state, okay, and they own America. You see? So let's play this and we'll expound on a few things.
For war crimes and genocide. But to understand the other parts of Benjamin Netanyahu, you need to leave this settler colony and go to another one, America. Contrary to what the Israeli lobby would have you believe, we're not funded by any government. Episodes like this are possible because of our supporters on Patreon. Doing this work takes time, resources, and editorial independence, and we're only able to do that thanks to our community. So if you believe in what we're doing and want to be part of it with us, you can join our Patreon. Back to the episode.
Netanyahu did an end run around President Obama today.
Thank you, America. Thank you.
With even some Democratic supporters of the president.
Benjamin Netanyahu is as much American as he is Israeli. He spent much of his youth and adulthood in the US, at one point changing his name to Ben Nettai to assimilate.
He attended elementary school in New York, high school in suburban Philadelphia. He picked up flawless American English.
He's so American. When you have a conversation with Netanyahu where it really gets engaged in it, he switches from Hebrew to English.
And Netanyahu truly admires America, the American culture, the American language, everything.
He was attracted to American culture and ideas over Israeli ones, especially those of the American conservative movement. For example, he was in support of the Vietnam War, furious at how so many Americans were so anti-establishment. What he hated even more was how radical many American Jews were.
I had always been brought up as part of my Jewish upbringing that Jews are not safe unless, unless everybody's safe. Jews are not free unless everybody else are free.
Netanyahu was enamored with the US empire. See, many of the early Zionist movement and settler colonies leaders were steeped in the European colonial tradition. And so was Netanyahu. But he came of age during the height of American imperialism, one built on military dominance, capitalism, media, and the language of American exceptionalism. The Zionist project was also entering a new phase, one increasingly defined by territorial expansion, military power, and the pursuit of regional dominance. These are the beginnings of Benjamin Netanyahu's career.
So you can tell, the devil was planted in America, learn American politics, okay, to get, to build these networks, okay, these American secret societies, so you can tell this guy was planted, you see, to appeal to the American audience, okay, because America was a tool, is a tool used by these small hats, okay, to bully their way through the earth, man. The reason why the small hats have been, the reason why they exist, of course, prophecy first and foremost, man. And within prophecy, America, all right, has always backed these small hats, okay? And this is why the small hats have always had, this great advantage, in the Middle East, okay? Western Asia, what they call the Middle East. And see, and this is why they've been able to act with so much impunity, which has been able to attack, and never have to pay the consequences for it until, as of late, when the Lord activated prophecy on their ass, man. Okay, when they went into Iran, but you could tell this small head here, Netanyahu, which is nigga from Poland, which a lot of these small hats, they all migrated from different parts of Europe, a lot of them Germany, Sweden, Poland, that's why I had Ashkenazi, which it goes back to Japhet, okay, but Japhet had Europe, before the the Greeks started taking over certain parts, Jake had Europe during the Dark Ages, then Esau, he came back and colonized Europe, okay, but that's why he had the Ashkenazi Jews. A lot of them come from Germany, but all in all, a lot of these small has to claim to be, so-called, all right, Jews, or because they're so-called, they're not the real people, make sure I say that correctly. They're so-called, these are Edomites, okay, these are not only just Edomites, but Amalek, the worst of them all, okay. But going back to the point, this devil here, all right, and then Yahoo BB, you see, you could tell that they've been grooming him for a long time for prime minister. And this is what they do. This is why Trump, went through all them different, reality TV shows, wrestling and all this. These people are being groomed for the public life, to be an actor on the biggest stage, of of politics, man, which are these leadership positions of these countries, man. Okay, so just to long story short, this devil is being groomed. All right, BB. Okay, just like all these Western leaders are groomed, okay, for the political spotlight, to be a professional liar, manipulator, okay, and to be a low-level warlock, you see, to enchant the masses, to forward the agenda of the elites, man. Okay, so let's play some more of this.
Look, I'm 28 years old. I've had to defend my country in 2 wars and in many battles. Nobody wants peace more than Israel. But the stumbling block to the road for peace is this demand for a PLO state, which will mean more war, which will mean more violence in the Middle East. The destruction of people who surround us, yes, I believe we should fight for our survival. If I have to, I'll fight again, but I hope not to.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Gilman.
As a diplomat in Washington, D.C., and then the United Nations, he learned to master television, to talk in memorable sound bites, and to communicate to a Western audience.
Continue a war of extermination against us. So I think for 2 reasons. The fact that they're terrorists and the fact that they seek our destruction, I don't think they're a partner to negotiation. Is American targets or Western targets or what they call the Zionist imperialist conspiracy.
Does Israel have nuclear capabilities and nuclear weapons? Yes or no?
We've always said that we won't be the first to introduce it, so we haven't introduced it.
But that's
And
not an answer to the question. Do you have them or do you not?
Of any country. It's as good an answer as you're going to get.
Talk down, don't talk up. Talk to them from your heart. Acknowledge and believe that you are a person of intelligence and authority. Believe you have something of value to say.
Before he became prime minister, Netanyahu was regularly appearing on American television as one of Israel's most recognizable spokesmen, defending war crimes with the confidence and polish of an American politician.
His performance on television used to be masterpieces.
You don't surrender. Whatever you do, you don't surrender to these killers.
He has a perfect American accent. What he thinks is a fingertip feel for American sensibilities and touch points. And he's great for CNN.
The idea of Bibi being a performer on television goes way back. You represent your country, you sell your country.
And in Ronald Reagan's America, Netanyahu was a rising star.
Benjamin Netanyahu begins his Israeli political career in the United States. He's unknown in Israel in the 1980s. He's already a celebrity with the Jewish right in the United States.
He cultivated from the outset Jewish rich people, Jewish millionaires, who would pay almost any sum at the time to be near him and to sort of get a whiff of his stardust.
He understood the power of controlling the narrative in the world of modern politics. See, Bibi is marketing over substance and is willing to say anything to remain in power.
Yeah, nigga know how to lie. Okay? Nigga know how to lie. All right? And that's all these celebrities are. I mean, these politicians, these Western politicians, they're just performers. Okay? And then you had a lot happening, during the 80s. You best believe, because they had Benjamin Netanyahu becoming, a political celebrity in America in the 80s. You had Epstein getting a lot of blackmail on these politicians. Okay? Then you had Reagan, all right, the end of the Reagan era when he sold America out to corporations, because he had the whole thing with Make America Great Again, and that's when the corporations really, gained a lot of power, okay, over American society during the Reagan era, okay, and then you had the Bush era, and Bush told you, that there would be a new world order, because he was heavily juiced in, so each decade, the elites gained more and more control, of, the American government, all right, the American society, okay, through entertainment, through politics, through the economy, you see. And what happens is America's enemies, the small has enemies, these Israelis, these small enemies became American enemies, man. Okay, it was Netanyahu who pushed, okay, America to go to war with Iraq. You know, Desert Storm, and 2001 after 9/11. Okay, it was a small hats that pushed the war with Afghanistan. The small hats that pushed for war in Syria. Okay, the small hats that pushed for this current war in Iran. You see, so now American military has been fighting Israeli wars for decades. It's just now people are realizing. People like, oh, with this war with Iran, people are saying, oh, we don't want to fight the small hats wars, but you've been fighting their wars going back to the 90s, and they've been aiding the small hats since the 80s and 70s, man. You see, but they really got, boots on the ground for the small hats in the 90s, man, and they've been, all right, fulfilling the agenda of these small hats ever since then. The elites want that region destable because the elites own all the oil companies, man. Okay, so they just been procuring, their energy to make sure that all their oil in their market stays on, the petrodollar and within these American banking system, man. Okay, so the elites have their agenda, economically, you see, and then they have their agenda with the Greater Israel Project to take land. Okay. And then they have this agenda for a global reset. And Iran, was a leakage in the system. Okay, because Iranian oil wasn't on these American banking systems or the petrodollar. Okay. So Iran was a leakage, and small hats, okay, sicked America on Iran, man. And now they've stepped into a trap of prophecy, man. And it's beautiful how the Lord had this thing play out, man. It's beautiful how the Lord is putting on a master class of strategy against these devils, man. Which is light work, you see. So let's play some more.
He lies left and right. Maybe lies left and right. He uses, when lie for him is not something bad, seriously. And it doesn't feel any problem with that.
If not stopped, Iran could produce a nuclear weapon in a very short time. It could be a year. It could be within a few months. They have the wherewithal, the stored up, preserved knowledge to make a bomb very quickly if they wanted to do it. Iran is so dangerous. Weeks away from having the fissile material for an entire arsenal of nuclear bombs. They're very close. They're 6 months away from being about 90% of having the rich uranium for an atom bomb. Iran is gearing up to produce 25 bombs, atomic bombs a year, 250 bombs in a decade. Ladies and gentlemen, time is running out. Iran will be capable of producing alone, without importing anything, nuclear bombs within 3 to 5 years.
Netanyahu is lying as he breathes. And he sometimes lies just to protect his reputation as a liar.
And he's been saying, Iran has been weeks away from a nuclear bomb since 95, man. Okay, 31 years ago, man. All propaganda. Okay.
Even apparent reason.
Nicolas Sarkozy called Benjamin Netanyahu a liar during a conversation with US President Barack Obama. Mr. Obama replied by saying, "You may be sick of him, but I have to deal with him every day."
People consider him a liar, vain, manipulative, and a narcissist.
The focus on kind of stealing the show, making himself the center of attention, was new in Israeli life.
When he first met President Bill Clinton in the 1990s, Clinton left the meeting furious, saying, who the fuck does he think he is? And who's the fucking superpower here? And that wasn't an over-exaggeration. Netanyahu.
Yeah, because you go into their story, they say Bibi, when Bill Clinton came over to visit Bibi, and Bibi walked in the room, and told him what he wanted and walked out, man. Told him what he needed from America and walked right back out, man. Treated that boy like a clown. Okay? You see? And they said Clinton was furious, man. But this nigga is a real arrogant bastard, which, hey, that's Edomite infight. You see, he's all right because he's even though these people are appointed, they do have certain authority to do particular things. Which all these people are under the umbrella of the elites, planted, selected by the elites. They do have authority and they do have their own egos. Okay, they be clashing, man. You see, now according to the agenda of the elites, they stay on track, man. But you have a little bickering and fight amongst these devils, But lately they've been getting a little bigger. Okay, and it's lead to conflicts and wars. You see, so you had this story, with Clinton. We handled Clinton, like a little boy. Obama, he did the same way. Okay, because he knows that according to the global rank, he outranks these presidents, man. These American presidents, according to a global rank, because he more juiced in with the small hats, man. That's why he treat these American presidents like nothing. Okay, and they gonna do his bidding. Remember, these devils threw America into a war, and they done backed out of it. They're not even helping America fight Iran anymore. They threw them in there, and now America just in there, man. Okay, so under the small hats, America is just Du Bois status, man. Okay.
Paul has always believed he could play America to his tune.
ובמיוחד היום עם אמריקה, נדע מה זה אמריקה, ימכן זה לא שאפשר להזיז את המקעים, להזיז לכיוון נכון.
כמובן שאפשר בעדינו, אבל כאילו...
לא יחליו, פרסת, כאילו.
אז אני אומר,
יש שלה, אז נניח שהעניין. אלה לא קודם אמריקאים, שצריכים זה אבסורד, יש לנו שם כזה כזו, ואנחנו רואים מה נעשה עם זה. אפשר הוא היה פלסטיני בצורה קיצונית, לא פחד את זה.
That he could even challenge American presidents and win. This was a departure from previous Israeli prime ministers before Netanyahu.
The Prime Minister of Israel.
He made a grand entrance, usually reserved for American presidents, and then the Israeli Prime Minister delivered a blistering assault on President Obama's Iran policy and his attempt to strike a nuclear deal with Iran.
It's not going to happen. Everybody knows it's not.
I've never seen a foreign leader speak to the president like that.
Outrageous. Outrageous.
He is so convinced that he's right, equally so convinced that Obama is dead wrong.
It's rarely somebody who comes to say your president is wrong, and you, the Congress, in effect, need to stop.
There was no other time when the Israeli Prime Minister let himself be so deeply involved in American politics, redrafting American politics against the American president.
And enlisted AIPAC, the powerful American-Israel Public Affairs Committee, to go on the attack.
From the war in Iraq to the war in Iran to genocide in Palestine, Netanyahu, along with his American advisors and the Israel lobby, have been key architects in shaping and directing American foreign policy for the last.
See Donald Trump pulling that boy chair out, man. Du Bois. Okay? Nero, goddamn Du Bois, man. And he was the Du Bois in ancient Rome, too. And he's back again as a Du Bois leader. You see? But yeah, Netanyahu, man, he's been telling the American government what to do for a while. Okay? And now he has more control than ever, which he's just an extension of the elites, the small hats, man. Okay, he's a plant. He was groomed to play this position, but he knows, all right, that behind the scene, okay, he outranks these American presidents, man. Okay, so let's go from there. I just want to tap in a little bit of that, kind of go into the politics of things, man. But at the end of the day, it's the will of the Lord that we're seeing playing out, and as we're getting to the end of Esau's kingdom, there's a lot of things that's beginning to fall apart. There's a lot of things that's not going his way, and it's causing him to be weird in his council and have to, fast track, his agenda, and ultimately it's going to lead to America being destroyed. Matter of fact, just to prove it real quick, dealing with these small hats. Let's go here to Zephaniah chapter 2. Okay. It's Zephaniah 2 and 4, because it's all prophecy. All right. So for Gaza shall be forsaken. And you look at Gaza, it's just forsaken. They're able, these small hats are able to just bomb at will. Okay. Which in their mind, they're going to, rebuild with smart cities on the Mediterranean coast and, rule the earth, with your digital system, with your digital infrastructure. They're going to rule the earth with this technocracy, okay, from this land of Israel, okay? And this is the devil trying to bless himself, man. In Ashkelon, a desolation, they shall drive out Ashdod as the noonday, and Ekron shall be rooted up. But it's going to go beyond just Gaza and them trying to, destroy Gaza so they can rebuild, okay, gentrify for small hats, rebuild smart cities, okay? No, it's going to go beyond that, man. All right, the Lord's going to cause these kings of the east, Iran, Russia, all right, Turkey, okay, to level this whole land out, man. Okay, and to eradicate everybody, man. You Palestinians, all right, all you heathens in our land. Okay, war is going to uproot, okay, their current population, man. You see, it says, woe unto the inhabitants of the sea coast, the nation of the Cherethites, the word of the Lord is against you, O Canaan, which that's what Israel was called. I mean, before it was known as Israel, it was known as the land of Canaan. Those wicked Canaanites was in the land. Okay, the children of Ham. You see? No, but that land is prophesied, all right, to be destroyed, man. You see? It says, the land of the Philistines, I will even destroy thee, and there shall be no inhabitant, man. So just like America was prophesied to be emptied out, through destruction, through war. All right, the small hats, all right, the land of Israel, okay, is going to be emptied out with no inhabitant as well. Difference is we're going to rebuild in our land. See, our land is going to be, all right, purified by this fire, okay, behind all the defilement of these small hats, man. So that land of Israel is going to be purified, but they're going to be wiped out in this war, man. The inhabitants, these current inhabitants, these fake, all right, these so-called small hats, man, these imposters, all right, meaning so-called Jews, these small hats, these imposters, man, they're going to be emptied out, you see, through war, okay? And we're going to rebuild, or we're going to have these heathens to rebuild our land from scratch, man, with splendor, with infrastructure that the earth has never seen, man, because it's going to be time for the blessing of Israel, the true Israel, to kick in, man. Not this throw together bullshit Esau trying to do. Okay, this tacky ass New World Order he's trying to do, man. No, the true blessing of Israel is going to begin in the earth after this war, because the true Israelites are going to be back in their land. Okay, but the Lord's going to clear their land out. You see, matter of fact, let's get that in Ezekiel 36. Okay, these devils are imposters, man. This is Ezekiel 36. Y'all start at 1, Ezekiel 36 and 1. It says, also, son of man, prophesy to the mountains of Israel, and say, ye mountains of Israel, hear the word of the Lord, Yahweh Bashem al-Shai. Thus said the Lord of power, because the enemy have said against you, and this is against our land. Aha, even the ancient high places are ours in possession. Now they do own the people as well, because the small has owned this global system that runs the earth, this beast system, in which we're enslaved to. So they own the people as well, okay? And they also own the land. Okay? They took our land, you see, in possession. Going back to the Balfour Declaration, I believe it was 17 when it was written, and then it was implemented in 1948. Okay? It said, therefore prophesy and say, thus said the Lord, because they have made you desolate and swallow you up on every side, that you might be a possession unto the residue of the heathen, and you are taken in the lip of talkers, and are the infamy of the people. Yeah, because they made this land infamous, which is famous for wickedness, man. You know, you think of the land of Israel, you think of Israel now, you think of these goddamn small hats, man, these gutter rats, man. You think of genocide, you think of, this military that destroys civilians, women and children. You see? You think of, these small hats and how they own everything, and man, these perpetual victims, okay? They always play the victim, but they're the ones destroying, man. You just think of wickedness when you think of the name of Israel now, man, because of these goddamn small hats, man. They made our land infamous, man. You see? And we're gonna bring glory back to that land, man, once we're changed and in that land, ruling in righteousness, man. It said, therefore, ye mountains of Israel, hear the word of the Lord power. Thus said the Lord power to the mountains, and to the hills, and to the rivers, and to the valleys, to the desolate wastes, and to the cities that are forsaken, which became a prey and derision to the residue of the heathen that are round about. Yeah, these small hats, and then Palestinians. You got Israelites that's within, those Palestinians, but then you have a lot of them Ishmaelites, the heathens, man. Okay, and which none of them have a true claim to the land, man. That's our land. Okay. Of course, Israel is scattered in the mix of everything, man. But ultimately, those are heathen governments that's ruling our land, man. It said, therefore, thus said the Lord power, surely in the fire of my jealousy have I spoken against the residue of the heathen. That's going to be in this war, and also the chariots with Yahushua. Yahushua going to be clearing that land out too, man. Getting niggas up out of there. It says, and against all Idumea, see that? You Edomites, man. I specifically called out you Edomites, man, beginning with Amalek, okay, which have appointed my land into their possession with joy of the heart and despiteful minds to cast it out as a prey, man. And they did this because they could. They have the authority. The earth has been given into their hand, so they have the authority to appoint themselves their land, man. They did it in spite of us, man. They know that they're not the people. Now you have generations, since they've been in their land for generations, you have these small hats that actually think they're the people and that they're, fulfilling prophecy of the true Israelites, man, which they're lost, and they're going to be so disappointed. Okay, when all them missiles hit over there and the Lord don't protect them, they're going to be so disappointed when they, end up in captivity to the true Israelites, man. Okay. Well, nah, man, they cast our land out as a prey, man. They preyed upon our land. They set up all type of wickedness and abominations in the land, man. Okay? It said, prophesy therefore concerning the land of Israel, and say unto the mountains, and to the hills, to the rivers, and to the valleys, thus said the Lord power, behold, I have spoken in my jealousy and in my fury, because you have borne the shame of the heathen. Okay? So the Lord is going to speak in his fury, which is going to be in this third world war with missiles and with Yahushua and the chariots. Okay? And America is even going to get the worst of it. America is going to get done worse than the land of Israel, man. Because it's going to never be inhabited again. It's just going to be a big desert. Our land is going to, be flourished. It's going to be fruitful. It's going to have abundance. It's going to have a lot of, it's going to get this greenery back, man. It's going to be plush, So the Lord, this fire is going to purify, our land, man. It's going to bring back his strength. You see? And you go to it, verse 7 said, therefore, thus saith the Lord power, I have lifted up my hand. Surely the heathen that are round about you, they shall bear their shame. Yeah, all you heathen that are in our land, you're going to be ashamed, man. Okay? You're going to be cleared out, man. That's going to be your legacy, man. All right? It was heathens, claiming, stake to our land, and they got cleared out through war, man. The missiles and the chariots cleared them niggas out of there, man. It says, but ye, O mountains of Israel, ye shall shoot forth your branches and yield forth, and yield your fruit to my people of Israel, for they are at hand to come. And that's the true Israelites, man. Okay? And I said, the land is going to give forth its abundance again, man. It's going to be plush. It's going to be green. It's going to have, the drinkable waters. It's gonna be back a paradise, man. They ain't gonna need no desalination plant. All right, these niggas got a desalination plant where they gotta turn salt water into drinkable water, man. Okay, because it's dry as hell over there, man. Okay, because the true people aren't there, and the land itself is mourning. Okay, but the land is going to rejoice when the true Israel come back, and we're going to be perfected. So that land is going to give forth abundance like it's never had before. It said, "For behold, I am for you, and I will turn unto you, and ye shall be tilled and sown, and I will multiply men upon you, all the house of Israel, even all of it, and the city shall be inhabited, and the way shall be builded," man. And that's going to be the slave labor of the heathens that's going to till that land. That's going to cultivate that land to bring forth its abundance, man. Okay, because we're going to have all the heathen as slave labor, man. We're going to have plenty of slave labor in the kingdom. Okay, and we're going to, a little one should become 1,000, small and a strong nation. And we're going to have plenty of resources, to do that, man. Okay, we're going to be in abundance, man. And that's why we keep reading. It says, "And I will multiply upon you," all right, multiply men upon you, all the house of Israel, even all of it, and the city shall be inhabited, and the way shall be rebuilt, and I will multiply upon you man and beast. Yeah, because if we're going to multiply, the resources have to multiply. Agriculture, livestock, to support, this multiplying, all right, nation, which is going to be the nation of Israel, man. Okay, and they shall increase and bring fruit, and I will settle you after your old estates, going back to the time of King David, King Solomon, and I will do better unto you than at your beginning, and ye shall know down the Lord your power, man. So the Lord's going to do even better to us than in our beginning, man. Even going back to the time of Adam, when it was a paradise, man. It doesn't go into detail of how plush and how lavish the earth was, but it spoke of a paradise, man. So even going back to the time of Adam and that paradise, man, no, we're going to have a greater glory than that, man. You see? So, yeah, we are some beautiful times, man, and we're just watching prophecy, unfold. Lord got everything in position. Everything is happening, exactly how the scripture said it would, and the Lord has these devils in the trick bag. Everything that they do from here on out is just a step closer from them being removed from power, man. Okay? So that's the point. I'll leave it there. Lord will, you brothers, all right, and you few sisters edified once again. I want to give all praise and glory unto Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahushua, Bahashem, Kakadash, and double honors unto the apostles and the elders of GMS who rule well, teach well, being great examples to his younger brothers. And peace and blessings, salutation, hopefully, shalom.